Welcome back. Now, there has been growing concern over the rising use of banned substances across Nigeria, and how this could affect public safety and even crime rates, road safety in the country, and just general health of the people. And so we're talking on the increased use of banned substance and safety of Nigerians with Prince Ache Julius Ogu, who is CEO RAPNEC and also the chairman Coalition of Road Safety NGOs in Nigeria. You're welcome to Signature Morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I hope you are good. Glad to be here.
Now, when we talk about the increased use of banned substance and the safety of Nigerians, what patterns or shifts are you observing about the use of these substances, and how significant is the increase of these use?
The increase of bad substance in Nigeria is on the increase. It's on the rise, and if urgent actions are not taken by those in authority to curb it, the rate of crime rates and other security issues will continue to increase. Based on data, about 14.4% of the population use banned substances in Nigeria. Approximately, that's about 14.3 million active users of these banned substances across the federation between the ages of 15 and 65. And basically, these are just what the figures that have been able to capture. Many are not captured. It's moving to communities, moving to riverine areas. You see the use of abuse substances in the class of cannabis, tramadol, and other dangerous drugs. They are even discovering more. Those who are into it are discovering more. And a time bomb. It's like Nigerians are sitting on a time bomb. If urgent actions are not taken to remedy the situation.
With the constant awareness and arrest of the young people in Nigeria over the use of substances like this, the abuse of substances, why do we keep having an increased rate of abuse in our system?
No, the issue of awareness systems can never be enough. You understand? The more the problem, the higher the advocacy that is required to create awareness, not only in communities, in churches, in mosques, in religious places, and every other opportunity that is available. Let it be the talk in the lives of most Nigerians. People need to know the harmful effects of these drugs, and they need for them to get away from it. Because many people are ignorant about it. If you go to communities today, you see, as at this morning now, if you go to most communities that take a survey, you find out that most of the community dwellers, 80% of them, either in one joint or the other, taking one or two things. Those who are not going to, or those who do physical work like laborers, farmers, and all those kind of things. So community involvement is critical to advocating, for these drug banned substances in Nigeria. Community advocacy is the key factor in ensuring that people, so more people don't get involved. But generally, prevention is always better than cure. At the same time, talking about community enforcement, enforcement by law enforcement agencies. They need to increase their presence in most of these communities and see that they address this situation before it, over-escalates in the federation.
Now, speaking of law enforcement agencies and the work that they need to do, where do you see gaps in when it comes to regulation or enforcement of the use of these drugs, when it comes to coordination, institutional coordination, and how they enforce and regulate these substance abuse? What gaps do you see that need to be addressed?
Well, there are a lot of gaps. There are situations the government alone can do. The government needs to engage civil society organizations, NGOs, faith-based organizations to carry out this campaign of enforcement. The government alone cannot afford. If you check NDLE, what is their population? What is the number of officers working there? And without effect collaboration, they cannot even achieve any progress. That is the most important thing. The communities themselves have a network of their residents. They know themselves. They know who is into drugs. As far as even those who are into criminal activities, making life unsafe for the dwellers. So it's very important for government agencies to collaborate with community head or chiefs and then set up things like volunteer network that help address this issue. There's no community that doesn't have a cause. There's no community that don't have where they gather and discuss, vital issues like town hall meetings. It is very important that the government, even if one or two people, persons, officers, deploy them to such communities and embark on community advocacy through town hall meetings. Let people know the dangers and the same prosecute offenders. Those who are caught to be prosecuted. Because a lot of attention has been deviated so far to the security situations in Nigeria, ranging from kidnapping, armed robbery, banditry, and the rest of them. And all these crimes have their root in drugs. Without drugs, it's difficult for a normal human being to take a knife and cut the throat of a fellow human being. Without drugs, it's difficult for some of these ladies to walk out on the street, or by 1 or 2 a.m. you see them on the street. They call it hustling. All are based on influence of drugs. So there is need for the government basically to step up effort in empowering non-governmental organizations, faith-based and other institutions, even materials that are required for these jobs, like pamphlets, jingles, and all that, and bombard the community with awareness programs, so that it will create for the upcoming ones who think it's just the normal thing to take a drugs and all that. So the government has a key role to play. And again, it boils down to funding. All this will require funding. Who funds the program? If you ask people to gather in a hall, you must give them at least water or something to sustain them, or even encourage them to come. For example, if you say you are organizing the community, calling it for a town hall meeting in any community today, if there is no attractive program, nobody will come out there. You need to merge it up with another program that will encourage them, like most of these palliatives they do at times. If you want to do a palliative for a community, you can add up the program like drug awareness program, so that they will not just collect food and go. While they are collecting the food, there is a message that tells them that drug, banned use substances is not good to their health or system. So those are the things we are talking about.
Okay, highlighting some of the points, we talked about the arrest of these users. Is it better to focus on the arrest of users other than tackling the powerful drug cartels and the suppliers as well? And how porous is our border to the point that even importation is still possible?
People who are involved in this deal have a way of going about. They are not children. Now, I'm talking about the cartel and others who deal in most of these drugs. They have their strategy, they have their way. They even have their collaborators, people who collaborate with them, who are working in the system. Yeah, you can take this work to the bank. Those who move freely, take drugs to our airport, have insiders there who coordinate this movement. Those who move through the boundary have a way. We have a very porous border. Nigeria has one of the most porous borders not taken in the world. We don't even know where people keep creating different routes across our borders to come in with most of these illicit drugs. And the high rate of consumption is very, very high. So those who are dealing in this have a way of covering up their operations by strategizing and working with those in the system. So obviously we need to step up the effort in securing the borders, because the root of most of the crime in this country is drug. anywhere in the world. And then apart from those cartels who are moving it, most of the world leaders have been accused, of the world leaders have been accused of dealing in drugs. So it's not a four-man business. These are business done by people in high places. Although they have their food soldiers that they use to distribute or market these substances. So it's critical and very important that the government give more attention to enforcement and ensure that our brothers are protected. We cannot stop talking about it. We keep talking about it. And then until action is taken. Because what we are even talking about is reducing the menace. Because we don't do anything or take action every day, you have to increase in the number of people that get involved in using banned substances. That is the point. We must step up our efforts as a country, as an institution, and as a nation. Because so longer, the moment somebody is getting out of it becomes a problem. Because it has its own level of stimuli and ecstasy, and giving them some, let me say, demonic braveness to go into, substance abuse. Talking about even sicknesses that prevalent diseases like HIV and all that, once upon on this drug, they don't care about, preventing themselves, so they're going to most of these acts. They just take it as then you are out there, and you go, some of them will get involved in rape, some of them, mess up women, even in their own homes. You see people, domestic violence. You see domestic violence in most homes that we are talking about. Most of them, if you trace them carefully, some of those parents are into substance abuse. Their wife may not be aware, their family members may not be aware, but their actions speak louder. So those are the issues. There are so many factors accompanied with this use of banned substances in the country.
Now, while we're talking about the increased use of these banned substance abuse, let's also look about how it affects, the safety of Nigerians. So, in what way would you say that, this substance use has contributed to the safety or the safety of Nigerians?
Well, a lot has contributed negatively more to the safety of Nigerians. Security-wise,
Right. So while we wait for our guests to come back, Quincy, looking at this issue of substance
people are not about to
I mean, we talk about the all right, we talk about, the framework should be in place to help curb this issue. And, when it comes to young people, a lot of young people are actually, victims
Into
of
it.
this. Of this
I
thing.
agree
But
with you.
our guest is back on the line. Can you hear us?
I hear you clearly.
So I was asking how these impacts or affects the safety of Nigerians.
Yes, I say those who are involved in this banned substance use sometimes are violent in their community. They are community risk. They engage in all manner of crimes, like armed robbery, like maybe break and entry, the local break and entry, even occultism. They believe most of them are involved in cultism. There is no occultic group or service you see today that doesn't dwell on drugs during their initiation. It's like water for them. That is what gives them the mind to move into dangerous acts, at the same time intimidate their fellow citizens. So the safety of Nigerians to be a concern to us, to those who are not involved here, to be able to join in the campaign. If you remember, during the Diabo time, how did they succeed? It succeeded because all Nigerians fit into it. If Nigerians or the public or the masses did not key into any project, no matter that project is a failure, no matter how you can enforce it. So the people need to get involved. You see anybody in your community taking drugs like cannabis, tramadol, and the rest of them, you got to look for a way of reporting or get the authorities to inform. Even communities to set up satellite posts all communities in the federation need to set up a point either in their local chief palace or anywhere within the police to address this issue. Although there is another dangerous angle. By the time these people know that you are informant in a community, your life is at risk. There is another aspect. So there should be a systematic approach to trying to identify those who are involved in the community or in a city. You understand? So that those who are even volunteering to give this information to the government about those who are involved, their communities will be safe. Now, talking about more on the safety, if you go check the Nigeria highway today, it's completely unsafe. Unsafe because of armed robbers, kidnappers, and all manner of terrorist acts. How did these people come about all this? What gave them the mind to go on the highway, or in the dead of the night, or in the afternoon, to intimidate innocent people? It's drug. All of them are traceable to what? Drug. So drug is the cause of most of the crises we are facing in the country today. The safety of Nigerians will be paramount in the hands of not just the government, but in the hands of all Nigerians, so that we can see how we reduce banned substance use to the barest minimum. Because every day it keeps increasing. I want to assure you that if nothing is done about it, in the next 10 or 5 years, it's going to be another bad story. God forbid.
All right, then. You have just mentioned that it could be reduced to a minimal point. If this is not curbed immediately, how effective is our healthcare system, our rehabilitation centers? How offended are they? Because we will still have people that would need to be referred to the rehabilitation centers if to the point where they need help. Are we really of a good standard to help the people, the young people of Nigeria when it gets to that point?
That is very good. You made a very valid point there, and I will be happy to address it. Now, I was talking to a friend. He's the head of the task force on the UN drug demand reduction for the Solo, and he was telling me, in Italy alone, they have one of the cities, they have about 1,500 rehabilitation centers. How many do you have in Abuja here? How many do you have in Nigeria as a whole? The rehabilitation centers are not enough, even if they are existing. And those that are existing doesn't have the required facility. And it's a very expensive venture to set up a rehabilitation center. It's not just to build the house and put castle there and sit somebody down and be telling him the dangers of everything you are taking will affect you, it will do this. No. There are some deep, medical measures or scientific measures that need to be applied. Quarantine and separating the person from his family, or sometimes studying the nature of the person, because some of them go violent. And most of the people involved in this is actually of the rich. That is the issue. Those who are well to do. For example, who has the money to go and see 5 to 10,000 or 20,000 to go and sleep cocaine. Somebody who has not eaten will go and sleep. It's not done. So the people who are involved in most of these things are kind of the rich. And they are paying dearly for it. You get it? So we need more rehabilitation centers in the country. We need more rehabilitation centers. And how do we get these rehabilitation centers? We get them because most of the international agencies that fund these things fund them through non-governmental organizations. They work with non-governmental organizations because they believe the government has budget. All the government needs to do is to facilitate and position NGOs to deliberate with international organizations, that has the capacity to fund these rehabilitation centers. We have UNODC in Nigeria and some others supporting here and there, but I don't think it's enough. We need more rehabilitation centers. We need more government involvement. There was a time, I think almost all the first ladies in Nigeria were in Abuja here to, pass through some level of meeting, or do I call it advocacy, so that they can take the message back to their state and see how they can handle banned substance abuse and ensure the safety of Nigerians. But I don't think we are hearing anything about it again. It has gone into the drain. Nobody is now talking about it. Why? Because I think those people are more busy with political activity and other things that will return their words to to the various government houses. And how do you return to government houses? Because the election is fast approaching. And election is fast approaching. Start seeing punks and all manners of people flooding the streets, burning people alive, and destroying, properties of those they feel are not in their camp. So it's a lot of problems. It's a lot of problems. The safety of Nigerians is paramount, to be paramount to the government and those in authority who have the right to make laws and take decisions.
Now, many young Nigerians are increasingly exposed to, social media and online content that, glamorizes the use of drugs. You see the use of the drugs being used indiscriminately on social media, and youths have access to these things, and they take in these types of content. And you earlier on mentioned that advocacy is important, that the higher the rate of these abuse, there is more need for advocacy. So where would you say that this advocacy is failing or succeeding when it comes to informing young people about the harmful effects of these substance abuse and combating it as well, considering the exposure that they have to the use of these substances?
Yes, that is another angle to this problem. Now, the social media space is where things are happening today. If we want to be sincere to ourselves, the social media space, you see millions of users with their phones online, and then you see most of these drugs are even being moved online to be secure now. They have contacts where they sell, where they move these things online. People stay in their home and get it now. So that is the government or the agencies concerned need to look for a way to occupy that space and even put their own advocacy into that space, into the social media space. Because TV, radio, and the rest of them are okay. They are doing their best by using the more conventional media, organizations and institutions like TV, radio, newspapers, and the rest of them. But the social media space is where it's happening now. That's where all things are happening. You see all manners of content that are not being controlled. Although when you talk about regulating the social media, which came up before, in our country where the way things are done, instead of them going after those who are committing this crime, promoting drug use through their content and doing all manner of things, to see them targeting police opponents and opposition. Forgetting about it. That is why most of us sometimes are very careful when they talk about regulating the social media. They will move from the main point where they are supposed to handle and move to the areas that interest them. Targeting political opponents. We've seen so many people being arrested across the federation because they post one or two content that is against one politician or against one governor or against one other person. I think I'm here to see where somebody has been arrested for promoting drug use or doing all manners of dangerous content on the social media. I was watching one day. They said this what do they call it? Is prank. Some of those people will just come down wearing black, intimidating people, and those people will be shaking. If that man has high BP, he will collapse and die there. You are gone, you are dead. They threaten the person are there. They say it's prank. I begin to wonder. This generation, where are they going with all this kind of stuff? These ideas are endemical to the corporate interest of Nigeria. So, most of these things have their back of the box. All those things they are doing there, 70% of them, I want to assure you, they are not doing it with their normal mind or heart. You're under the influence of one drug or the other. So, testing even all those content makers, let them pass through drug tests. Most of those who are doing this online, checking the social media space is a critical factor to the safety of Nigerians when it comes to banned substance use in this country. It's very, very important. But like I said, if they want to go into that area, they need to make sure they are focused on why they are there, not deviating from the making and going back to attack political opponents.
So much, Prince Arche. Thank you for joining us this morning and, of course, giving us an insight on how to combat the increased use of banned substance and safety of Nigerians? Once again.
Thank you so much. God bless you. It's a pleasure, and I wish you a great day ahead.
Pleasure is ours. All right, this is where we draw the curtains on this particular conversation. Our guest, Prince Ache Julius, is the CEO RAPNEC and the NG chairman of Coalition of Road Safety NGOs in Nigeria. He joined us this morning to have a conversation on the increased use of banned substances and safety of Nigerians. We'll go on a short break and we'll be back.